Fire this up here just because some people were interested in how we set up goals and action plans. For really, you could use this for whether you're a solo entrepreneur or if you've got a large organization. I've used this type of system for years, and it's worked great, to be honest. So I'm going to walk you through some of how we goal plan. And this kind of can really help if you've got a lot of ideas on for your business, and you just really need to understand how doable, how desirable they are, and additionally who can be responsible, and then kind of put some timelines to it. So if you're like me, you probably have hundreds of ideas. Wake up and you're just like all fired up. I got to do this. I got to do this. And so for me, I've always been slightly OCD. You got to catch me by the tail a little bit, but or ADD, I should say. So this has always really, really helped. So I'm going to walk you through. There's a link in the video description that can walk you through how to do this. So I'll kind of show you here and I'll zoom in. So what this is it's called a goals and action brainstorm session. So what we do is we split it up. We're so big, we split it up in departments. So you might have a SEO department. If you're an agency owner and you're watching this, SEO, ad department. We split it up because we do websites and SEO. We do websites, or I'm sorry, we split it up in support, and then really the creative and the marketing department. Most people who are going to watch this are going to probably be detailers. So I'm going to walk you through how this system works. It's actually really, really easy. And it's really intended to be a simplistic system. So how it's done is, and how we fill it out is, you just drop in your ideas. And so if you have a couple ideas, so like a perfect example is if I'm a detailer and I'm going to change my 2024 so I don't have a slow time. So I'm going to change things about my business. What are a couple things that you can do, whether that's marketing or change something about your business? Maybe it's a floor plan. Maybe it's your sales process. Maybe it's hire someone. So how I would use this, a perfect example is like create a create a local only newsletter. And I'll zoom in here so I can do it. So we go through and we just fire off ideas. So like if you have 4 or 5 people, you're just firing off, create a local only, and I wrote newsletter, but let's say podcast, right? So this is where you invite people who are local, bring them in, podcast them, and get people interested in your brand. Fire off a referral review program, surveys to customers. What about training? Like even things like this, training a sales guy, salesperson. So let's say you have a couple of these ideas, these goals, right, that you're going to set this year. And we typically set these up as like a 6-month kind of partition. Is we run through all of us. We say, hey, we're going to do this, 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 this. And your first time doing it, it's going to be a little awkward. But the next time you do it, I mean, sometimes we have like 30 or 40 things that we want to accomplish this year. And so when you're looking at it, you set up your goals and you go right into this next section. And there's what's called a desirability, a doability, and then you total these up. And let me talk about this for a second here. So the desirability, what that means is how desirable is this to do in your business? Just because you're saying it doesn't mean that it's extremely desirable. And maybe somebody else said it. So you'll kind of go through a 1 through 10 scale, 1 being the least desirable, 10 being the most desirable. So let's say if I'm creating a local only podcast, let's say it's not a massive thing for me, I'm going to just go ahead and put a 7. And then the doability is not how you can hire it out no matter what, right? You can go find someone, spend money. Money is not endless. So you have to kind of understand is like how internal doable is doing a local only podcast in this example. So, I'm just going to pick on Jared Clayson just because he comes to mind. He just started a podcast. Does Jared, who's an owner of his business, does he have time to do it? Or does one of his managers have time to do it? How doable is that system? And so when we look this up, you want to rank it. Now, if you can't do it, if you can't do it at all, I'm going to walk you through what happens in this scenario. And then you just total it up. And so in this case, it's 7 is desirable. Internal doability, let's say Jared, or me can do it, and that's 17. And then you keep going down this list after you've listed out. So you do a bunch of these, then you come back to this list, you do how desirable, how doable, you total them up. And then you come over here and then you assign, fine, we're going to do a local only podcast. It looks like it's doable, it's desirable, it's high up on the total list. What's our realistic turnaround? Can we do this? Can we start it in 30 days? Can we start it in 30 to 90? Or is this going to take research? I don't know what equipment to buy. I need more time. And then you just put in your medium, short, or long, stuff like that. And then once you pick out your term, you're going to assign a person to that who is responsible. The priority level piece is really if there's, if you need another delegation of this is a priority, or maybe a tiebreaker. I'll kind of walk you through this system, but a perfect example is let's say if you're training, let's say a survey to customers, and let's say that's completely as far as desirability. Let's say you really want to do it, but you don't have the time, you don't have the ability to do it, you don't know where to start, your internal staff is completely tapped out. You would put this as a 1 or a 2 maybe, right? So this would go into a 12. So this scenario, just so you understand, is when you have the doability for internal people to do it, that would kind of go to an outsource, and then you would choose your length of time. But this is a perfect example of if you really want to do things like ads, SEO, surveys, training people, whatever it may be, this is a great way to really understand and understand if you guys can do it internally. So, and I can always pull ours so you guys can see what one is fully lifted out. I mean, ours is massive. I don't want to publicly share it, actually, now I think about it, just because our competitors will see it. But you can even get it down, sometimes even the support personnel. So if a company is big enough, and let's say you have administration, you could say, hey, we need a new CRM, or hey, we need to do a CRM. So if you need to keep making these, just go ahead and click this button up top, and you can click duplicate page, and you can just create new ones for different departments, and just kind of come back to this, every quarter. Who's responsible? You said you could do this in 30 days. You said you can do this in 90 days. You need more time. And we found that this has been tremendously successful for us personally. So when you do things like these, it just gets it way quicker, way easier to move the needle. Things like this have led to certain SEO platforms and programs for us, monthly refresh styles, new templates that we've developed, new sections, new manufacturer pages, booth designs, stuff like that has kind of kept us okay, we've accomplished X, what's Y and Z, if we really want to move the needle. So hopefully that helps you guys and your team. Hopefully somebody gets some good benefit out of this. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Feel free to comment in this string, and I'd be happy to answer anything we have. And you guys have the link in there, and we'll go from there. All right, guys,